Well, good morning, all. Another beautiful Saturday out here in paradise. At least we're having a nice day, and it's nice and sunny. And for a change, nothing's burning, so we're doing well. So it's funny. I put out that we're going to do more publicity photos, and we'll be seeing Mike Pender in his bow tie. And Joey wrote back, "I'm coming just for that," but we don't see Joey, so kind he had too many pictures of bow ties. But yeah, I finished scanning a bunch more of these, and it's kind of interesting again how many. Luckily, some of them tell you who the people are. Other people may know. I mean, we'll see something like the governor of Alabama or something. I have no idea who he is, but maybe other people would say, hey, it's my Uncle Floyd. What I've got to do in some of these, there was no identification whatsoever. And when I have some time, I've got to go into Google reverse image and stick pictures of these people in there and see if anything pops up and we can try to identify them. But let me get to the first of these. The first one's real easy to identify because it's not a person. It's India. So again, they put out tons of these publicity pictures. Some are a bunch of them were shot, very early on to try to get stories in the newspaper about the fair. But in some cases, they just came out seemingly at random. A lot of them were done by the Fair Corporation itself, but as we saw last week, some of them were done by the individual pavilions and that. This was kind of an interesting one. It gets over to the Simmons Beauty Sleep area, and it's really interesting. Does anybody notice anything in the background here?
Yeah, the mystery.
Yes. Yep. A number of years ago, in a demolition picture of the fair, there were a bunch of these things stacked in a field, and people are trying to figure out what they were. And people thought, oh, it's the light fixtures from the billion candle power tower of light. And we said, no, we can't match it up. So, I mean, how long ago would you say this was, Wayne? 5 years we've been looking for an answer what those things were. And I looked at the picture, and there they are. So there, if I zoom in on them, these are all metallic items, and they went up, another one balanced on it, another one on top of that. What they are, just a stylized Christmas trees or something. But literally, we have the picture of them in the demolition phase, just sitting out there, and nobody could figure out what they were. So when I scanned this, I just, come on, go back to it. Here we are. When I scanned it, I wasn't so much drawn by the little village down below or anything, but wow, what do we have up here? Oh, it is the Tower Light. Sorry, it wasn't Serta Simmons. There's another one with Simmons here, but so it was the Tower Light, but it wasn't the beam of light. So because it makes sense because it was in the Tower of Light area. So so a 1965 edition, a snow-covered landscape scene.
I have a question about India, if you can go back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't remember that there were two buildings. Can you tell us what's in them?
I think one had a restaurant and the other was industrial type exhibits.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. Then we get some that are kind of interesting. Anybody want to guess where this is?
New Jersey.
What's that?
Is it New Jersey?
Yes, it is. You can see the tent up here. Very good. And you can see it's certainly a barren, cold looking day outside, right? But here we have Paul Kupferberg of 2 Clare Drive, Somerville. Who are these people? And why are they standing there, smelling the flowers? The flowers, if we zoom in on them, you wonder if they had any smell whatsoever because they look fake as hell to me. So yeah, there's no dirt, there's no soil, there's no pots, right? So just kind of interesting. But you wonder who these random people are that they got picked for this thing. And again,
why do we need to know their addresses?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, let's track them down. Hey, we know that
you couldn't do that today.
No. So
yeah, I have an advertisement for my antique color TV, and it quotes Mrs. So-and-so and gives her address in New York. And it's the same thing. When I looked at that, I thought, my God, they would never do that again.
No. And look how nicely they're dressed.
It was interesting in that the written up part, it says they're smelling the flowers, but
Yeah.
they're artificial flowers. They're smelling the plastic.
Well, hey, it worked for Disneyland, right? All the plastic flowers on Main Street, right? So,
They've got that new flower smell.
yeah. Oh, it's also interesting. If enclosed, the tear sheet would be appreciated. One of the things I bought a number of years ago from John Pender, Mike Pender's son, were binders about this thick, several of them, of all the press clippings and stuff that the World's Fair Corporation was getting in, as they would subscribe to services for newspapers around the country. And I've got to go through and see if anybody put the picture of Paul Kupperberg in one. But they're definitely on my list of things to scan and get on the website someday. Okay, so we got Robert Moses here. In the background, you can see the thing here. It's a promotion for a ski resort. And then in this particular one, all we know is it came from the Vermont Development Department.
Could you go back to that?
Yeah.
What? Okemo, top left, middle
Yeah.
left.
Right. That's the ski resort, and it's down here too. You can just see the O here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got some pictures of somebody wearing a billboard, the sort of sandwich thing that you always see eat at Joe's. There was somebody that they hired to walk around the area wearing this sign. They also did a demonstration. They put fake snow in, and they had a skier. And it wasn't a very large ramp whatsoever, maybe 20 feet long or so, but they had a skier that would come in, go up to the top, ski down, show, get everybody interested. And they were actively promoting the ski resort. And the ski resort's still there. Has anybody ever skied it? I think I did once.
Yeah. I've skied Okemo. It's
Yeah.
one of those very nice family mountains.
Yeah. So
But Ludlow got really badly hit in the mud floods that happened a couple of years ago.
oh, did it? Yeah,
Yeah, very badly.
that's too bad. And we go off to the Les Poupées de Paris. Mademoiselle Renee. So she's not anybody famous. We saw Brigitte Bardot last week, so this one's just the generic Mademoiselle Renee. And we go over to Futurama. So we have underseas exploration.
I've always wondered about Futurama, the way they have the seats set up. If you're in the, there are 4 seats per row. If you're in the far seat, there are all these people in the closed seats, but if you're sitting on the other end, you're gonna have to lean way over. You see what I'm saying?
They were mail call. They were equal opportunity because things were on both sides.
Oh, okay.
So at some point, sorry, Carol's gonna get the mail. At one point, she had a great seat, but then at another point, maybe this guy had a better seat.
Okay.
It is always pandemonium here at Cotterville.
Bill, was there some kind of a shield between the passengers on the conveyor belt and the exhibits?
Was there a what?
Like a shield, plastic
No.
shield of some sort? I mean,
No,
it doesn't show
Not
here.
really. There's other shots we can see that the plastic thing was more for lighting effects. This was an interesting question you asked here, because a number of times we've looked at this and tried to figure out, is this actually Futurama 2, or is this a mock-up that GM did before it went to the fair? So because people are saying, I don't remember the octopus, and it's really interesting. Of all the shots I have, the octopus doesn't show up in any of the other shots. Nobody's souvenir shots, or none of the commercial slides shown or anything. So in this particular one, there may have been a barrier. I don't recall the details, but this may have just been a publicity shot done for Futurama. And of course, they say it's more than a few people that took it in, but we have no idea, if they're really there or not. What's
Well,
also
it's
interesting is there's nothing here in any of these to secure anybody in any of the seats. So, could anybody just get up, take a jump into the ride? Looks that way, but could also lean over and accidentally fall out. I don't recall any sort of seat belts that they had in there.
I was
So
going to say, it's also interesting that writing on the back says of the more than 12 million people who saw it. So did this come out as a publicity photo at the end of the fair?
yeah, or whichever. No, this is mid-season, so it's saying more than people saw it at 64.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, 12
We
million
have
and
some
64.
publicity of concept art. Anybody know where we are here? If you get this one, Randy, I'll be real impressed.
Kind of says at the bottom, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, I can't see at the bottom. Okay.
Oh.
Very good. What does it say at the bottom?
Protestant
Protestant Center.
Center interior.
Oh, okay. Then we go to New Jersey. The atomic energy area. So they're using their robotic hands to handle volatile nuclear fuel.
That was probably in the Hall of Science.
Yeah.
I think I've seen this one before.
Yeah, this one has shown up. I actually have this in color. Very nice shot of I don't know if it's the exact same kids but they're using the robotic hands.
Yeah, I used to demonstrate the robotic arms at the Science Museum, but they were much more complex, run through pulleys with metal tapes to control them. And you had to be careful not to push on the ends of the fingers because it would take the tension out of the tapes and they might slip off the pulley. And then, boy, management would really chew your ass out.
Bill, that's a good way to learn not to. So I never realized before I had anything in the house that came from the Oak Ridge Institute of Nuclear Studies. So hopefully the picture doesn't glow in the dark. It's a 1965 shot. You may remember it from last week as the Fine Arts Pavilion, and in 1965 it was the Bar Green Canadian Bear parlor. So I don't know. Here's a bear. Hopefully that bear is smaller or bigger than the ones you have done. But what's interesting, it doesn't show up too much in this particular picture. But if you look in on it, there's a device sitting here in the piano, and it's a portable piano player. And the whole thing they were trying to sell was you could get the rolls here. You could take any piano and turn it into a player piano by putting this device on it, and it would play away. And evidently they sold pretty well for a number of years. I did do some research looking it up. So you can turn any piano player into a piano player in just 30 seconds. So kind of interesting. You try to figure out what does it have to do with a bar, a buffet or whatever. Well, they link together, and these guys that are behind it here supplied it free to the bar place, to have some musical entertainment. So anybody ever seen one of these before? We had a long time ago when we were in Brooklyn. My mother was determined that she was going to turn us all into piano virtuosos, but she made the mistake of buying a player piano. And boy, we thought that was the greatest thing on the planet Earth. And then she got tired. They realized they could only afford so many rolls of music. So the piano didn't last very long in the Cotter house. But as a future engineer, she was afraid I was going to take the damn thing apart. This would be the only way I could play piano today. So
There are others that don't sit on the keyboard, but roll up to it. And they're called Vorsitzers, which is German for sits in front.
More than one way to skin a cat, huh? So here's more information on it. The what you call it, the Dyna voice, just simply setting it on the piano keyboard. So funny the things you learn as you go through time.
Well, one of the people was the owner of the beer parlor in the
Yes,
picture.
right.
If you read that last part.
Yep. Oh, this was interesting. This was not a publicity photo, but in this stack of publicity photos, I also ended up with a booklet for the World of Food groundbreaking ceremonies. So thought people might like to see more about the doomed land of food. The World of Food was going to be a massive multi-exhibitor pavilion, much like the Better Living Center or the Hall of Education sort of thing. And they started building it and they kept running out of money. They built a little more. They, kept running out of money. And they finally got to the point where Robert Moses said, there's no time to finish this. I want it torn down. It was right off the main entrance as you came in at the Gotham Gate. And he ordered them to take it down. And they said, no, we're not gonna, we're gonna finish it. So he ordered the Fair Corporation to take it down. And the World of Food people sued him that he was harming their business, and it got tied up in the courts. They took all the steel to a warehouse in Brooklyn, and it sat there in the warehouse for years. And it was finally about 1968 or so that a judge ruled in favor of the World's Fair Corporation and let them sell the steel off for scrap. At that point, the World of Food was still insisting that they had been harmed, and at a minimum, they should get these scrap metal rights. But then the Fair Corporation argued it cost them money to take it down. But we'll see here in this set of pages what the World of Food was going to be. So fairly nice looking pavilion. And again, right off the main entrance. Devoted exclusively to the nation's largest industry, which I never knew, the World of Food. It's too bad. It sounds like it would have been fun, right? Color, aroma, pageantry. One of the things they were going to have in there was a chocolate making factory from the folks at Hershey. So they ended up putting a smaller version over in, I think it was Better Living Center, but that would have been neat. I love the quote down at the bottom from Robert Moses. So. And here's all the companies that were going to be there. And it's kind of interesting. I mean, some names were big in New York. People may remember Bohack Markets. It was a huge supermarket chain around New York. And they were everywhere, and then they imploded. So a bunch of these are still around. We certainly know about Hershey Chocolate and Hickory Farms. Others, I have no idea what Trends Inc. did or anything. But to me, as a kid, you could think that they probably would have had a lot of free samples or something. This would have been a really great pavilion to go to as a kid, wouldn't it?
Were Wise potato chips a big thing in the East Coast?
Yes, they were.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never heard of them on the West Coast.
I think it's one of those things where there are some things that were the exact same product, but they were done with different names, like Hellman's mayonnaise and
Yeah, Best Foods. They're
yeah,
the same
Yeah.
mayonnaise company. Yeah.
yeah. And you'd always see the ads, saying, "Oh, in the west of the Rockies, we're known as Hellman's or whatever." So yeah, whatever way it went. But I have no idea. I got down here. I said I'd like to know what Nargis or Nagwa were. But I guess if you're in the food industry, you might say, "Oh my God, Nargis was going to have a booth there. That would have been cool." But I have no idea what Nargis was.
I know where I'd be standing in line at the Reese Candy.
Yeah.
Which one?
Reese Candy.
Oh yeah.
I'd be there. And Pepsi-Cola was going to have an exhibit inside this building as well as their own exhibit. It looks like.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting when you see that, thinking that they were going to do that.
Either that or maybe Pepsi-Cola pulled out to do their own pavilion, and that's why they couldn't get enough money to finish the pavilion here.
Yeah. My guess is that they were probably going for a different market. That this particular one, they were probably going to go for people. Why don't you sell Pepsi at your restaurant, at your I don't know if people realize, by the way, the big announcement Costco made last week.
I was just gonna say that, yeah.
They're gonna go from Pepsi products to Coke products, and they had gone from Coke to Pepsi in 2013, and now they're going back. So
Good
I hope
choice.
they get a better selection of soft drinks, but some of the ones they have in our local Costco are terrible.
One thing I see, Roman products, I wonder if it was Roman pizza. And the reason I mention that is because Gene Shepherd did commercials for Roman pizza for a while.
Oh, don't know. Could be. The one here I got a kick out of, and maybe Beth knows, the Atalanta Trading Corporation. It's not Atlanta, but the Atalanta. So I don't know, it was some company down there that made took advantage of it.
Yeah, it
But
might have been. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah. This
Yeah,
was
Good
the day.
Humor ice cream was on there too.
Which one?
Good Humor ice cream.
Oh,
They used to
yes,
have the
yeah,
trucks
Good
that went
Humor
around the
was-
neighborhood.
Good Humor was real big back at that point in time, and even
Yeah.
things like King Corn stamps, trading stamps. I mean, there's so many things that have changed over time, but a lot of these companies are still with us. So, Claxton Bakeries. I mean, this is an interesting one because if you collect postcards from the fair, they put out their postcards. Come see us at the World of Food. Whoops, we're not going to be at the World of Food, and they then when they had a rubber stamp that they put on the postcards, come and see us at the Better Living Center. And then as time went by, they used a foil to overprint it. So there's 3 different versions of the Claxton postcards. But Claxton's still around, and when Carol and I were driving across Georgia a number of years ago, we made a special stop and went to the factory, and you could get the samples of fruit cakes and that sort of thing. So yeah, again, a number of these people, Hershey Food, they had it again. You well in advance, you start getting ready for this thing. You order up, I don't know, say 10,000 wrappers that say, "Come see us at the World of Food." Oops, we're stuck. We're not there. So they had to do an overprint of their wrappers, and then the later runs were printed originally. So people that are real purists, oh my goodness, I found a Hershey wrapper for the World of Food Pavilion. So a lot of people making last minute changes, and a lot of these companies never ended up being at the fair. So much for those plans.
Bill, you
So
skipped,
how much of the building was completed before they tore it down?
Steel framework,
That's it, just the steel.
basically just the steel framework. I've got some pictures someplace of it sitting there with a construction fence around it, but I don't recall that I ever even got to the point of having flooring put in it. It was really just a steel skeleton.
Mhm.
Bill, you said that the King Corn stamps, those were trading stamps,
Yeah,
like blue chip or
green stamps.
green.
Yeah,
I guess it was kind of a regional thing.
it
Blue-
was. Yeah,
Yeah,
there
blue
was
chip were real big up in the Bay Area, San Francisco area where I grew up.
no, there was King Corn markets back in the area, so it was a chain of
Oh.
supermarkets, and they had their own stamps to try to compete with green stamps and the others.
Yeah.
But again, we had 5 boys in the family, so we were always eating, and my mother was always looking for bargains. And one of the big things was she'd bring home all the stamps, and we'd have great fun putting it in all the books. And she was really nice. She would let us go get some whatever you could get from it, whatever the things were. But man, there were a lot of stamps in our family. So a nice cold day, I'm sure, 2:30 to have the ceremony. And here's all the people that were there. So
Adlai Stevenson.
yeah, big name there. And here's who was building the thing. So it was really interesting because when they sued the World's Fair Corporation, they were saying they were in the exact same spot as the Belgian Village. Why did Moses make them tear down their steel and let them go ahead with the Belgian Village? And the Fair Corporation tried to make a big thing about the Belgian Village having a more international flair to it and everything. And as it came out in the trial, well, the major reason was that the head of the Belgian Village was a friend of Robert Moses. So
Ah,
they try to use that to their advantage, but the judge just shot him down. here's where you can see where it was. Here's the Gotham Gate coming in over here, and here's where World of Food was going to be. And nothing really too much over it. This is right, by the way, kind of wrong. The image here, let me see if I can zoom in here real quick. In here, World of Food, does anybody look at a map and know what's actually here?
I
You
think
mean,
it's near the LDS thing, isn't it?
Yes, the Mormon Pavilion.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know, at whatever point they were saying it, it'd be kind of interesting to figure out, you know, where the Mormon Pavilion was at this date or time or whatever. But you know, there's a couple changes in here that you know, again, if we look at these, we never did see a Trinidad Pavilion. You know, the Arch of the Americas, if you may remember from prior talks, is going to be a gigantic arch going across the street. It's not the arch like they did for the General Foods arches, but all sorts of countries here that were going to be here, and you know, looking around. Gee, I don't remember the Netherlands Pavilion too much.
how about the USSR?
Yes, yeah, that was going to be a big one. So let's go up here and see what else didn't come to be. So Graphic Arts Pavilion we saw last week, and that was going to go with the cable car across the lagoon here, where they ended up putting in the Oregon came over here. Peel Brothers, a brewery, didn't end up over here. The World of Toys.
And can you imagine how miserably attended some of these pavilions, such as that World of Toys and that beer one? They were so far out from everything.
Yep. The Grayson Robinson stores. No idea who the hell they were. Islam Mosque. I got a kick here. Rather than just saying Africa. Look at this from a typesetting point of view. And down below, we were going to have the Heartland States. We've seen that before. They tried several different times to be able to get it. So again, whenever they came up with this, when they did this brochure, this map had to be well before 1963, because a lot of these were, you know, other things that were going in by that point in time. But anyway, that was the look at the World of Food. And let me go over to the next set of pictures. And again, we have, and some of these things are interesting because you look at this and say, okay, what is this? I don't remember this one. If we get down into the details here, it is a typical exhibit. So again, no idea. So, you know, 1963, January 30, 1963, scale as shown. Okay, where's the scale? It's right here. But you wonder who was trying to sell what to who. So it's a kind of interesting garden. I assume these are going to be trimmed hedges. They're absolutely engrossed at some exhibit over here. But where it was supposed to be, don't know. Luckily, we know with this one, and I think their artwork ended up being a lot more interesting to me than the pavilion itself. But I just got a kick out of looking at some of these things. I had to take mechanical drawing classes in college, and you know that we would be turning out. I could turn out this sort of stuff. The trees would have probably been beyond me. Straight ruler I can do. A curve I go wrong. But I just love the artwork and how crisp and clean, and you know how to me energetic this building looked. In reality, Maryland was a okay building, but to me it didn't come across quite the same. I think I've shown this one before. Folks remember what this one was?
Was it a brewery?
Yeah, Rheingold. Their
Right.
whole concept was you would come in board in your restaurant cubicle down here. It would get lifted up by hydraulics up here, and then you would get a wonderful view of the fair as you ate. We're actually going to see another shot where they're writing their check to make their deposit to build this thing. So you can't be about as different as this to Rheingold's little old New York that they actually built. I mean, we went from absolute looking way into the future to going back into, the 1890s. So Sermon from Science, the same exact exhibits from the 62 Seattle World's Fair, but in a new, more modern looking setting here. Again, sometimes things that we've seen show up because the pictures are duplicated in the lots that I bought. Speak of the devil. We just saw that earlier today. Great model of the New England States Pavilion. Again, all the little people. Somebody has a job someplace of cutting out tons of little people and gluing them to things. And this one, if we look up here, it's obsolete, but this was the first idea for the DuPont Pavilion. So we're going to see that in a second. And this, again, to my way of thinking, how things can improve so much over time. It's the exact same idea for a theater, round building and all the rest of it. But look at this particular design, and then look at the one that we got. And I just think this is much more space age, and again, comparing the two of them, to me, this just looks back more into the 30s, 40s sort of design, and we ended up with this particular one. And the Spanish Pavilion, mentioning again one of the few countries who go around the BIE embargo and actually have a nationwide exhibit, and it was very, very well received. And our friends at Ford. I think there's more cars in this model than there were on the roads back then. So here's India again. We saw it before the real thing. Here's the concept art. It came out pretty much spot on. And here we go. We have Mike Pender in the first of his bow tie appearances for the day. And does anybody recognize this gentleman? And he's fairly famous. Let me zoom in here if that helps. I see, Richard, you're saying something, but you're muted.
He looks a little like Stan Freberg.
Nope, it's Winthrop Rockefeller. So from the famous Rockefellers. So if we go back to this one for a second. Again, a lot of the pavilions and everything are I love, yes, a sign for the underground home. It's not a lot you can show there, is there? But by this point in time, again, we saw the date 1963. Many of the things are here. If they didn't have a model per se, they didn't have all the dinosaurs or the a Ferris wheel left, put their logo out here and start getting it together. But for the most part, there's not a lot of things in here that have changed, from when the fair was actually built. So,
And
yeah.
Bill, can you tell what the previous picture? Could you zoom in a little bit again?
Yeah, which area?
Go down towards IBM. Yeah, there. Okay. Okay, just between Travelers and the World's Fair Pavilion, what is that big gap?
Here?
Right there. Yeah. What does that say? Can you tell?
No, I cannot make that out. I'm sorry. The original photograph was blurred. They didn't have a particularly good depth of field. I mean, let's see if I'm looking at the map here, what ended up going there.
Well, in 65, that was that Fiesta thing, right?
Yeah. I cannot make out the signage on it, sorry.
Yeah, I can't either.
We get more people. This one's kind of easy to tell where they're talking about. Now, who they are, that might be a little bit more of a mystery, but pretty neat artwork of New Jersey. So again, I'll try to stick these in the Google reverse image and see. This one's interesting. Here they are. They're writing a check for their futuristic pavilion. And if we zoom in here, their initial rent check, $98,770.00. So But the Rheingold, Extra Dry, Liebman Breweries, it's kind of interesting how much detail you can pull out of some of these old pictures. So let's see, I wonder if we can actually cash one of their checks today. So, but yeah, all the handwritten notations in here for the bookkeepers and everything. And again, $98,770, which was good money back then. You know, I mean, they had a pretty good size plot of land, and they're getting ready to do it. So again, not sure who she is, but you know, he must be the big guy of Rheingold. And more bow ties and more, let's see if we can figure out where they're looking at. Okay, guys, you're gonna be right here. And right there would be, can we make that in any more? I can't quite read that. Be interested in this, okay. Texas, okay, so these are the Texas boys. Oh yeah, okay, got this one. This is where they were going to do a Texas pavilion, and it had a NASA exhibit with it, with a Mercury capsule and a ramp that you went around. So this is totally different from the Texas Music Hall that they built. Again, in one of the second book that we did on the fair, we had a whole thing about the pavilions that never came to be. And these are the guys that were touting the Texas pavilion. But X marks the spot, right? That's where you're going to be.
Interestingly, I see Monaco just above and to the right of above where he's pointing.
Yeah.
I never knew Monaco even expressed interest. That's interesting.
You wonder sometimes how much they expressed interest and how much this was just hope on their part, you know, that of doing it. Like, Monaco, if you're coming here, we've got this spot that would work great for you. So, well, you know, it was really interesting. Years ago, I was with Digital Equipment Corporation, and we had a facility in Colorado that we would bring people in and try to wine them and dine them and everything. And there was a guy whose entire job there was getting flags of the companies and the cities and states that we were bringing in to wine and dine. And because people, you couldn't imagine what a big thing it was when people pulled up. And if you're there from the city of Milwaukee and we bring them in and there's the Milwaukee flag flying on the digital building that day, it really made a difference. So this might be the same sort of thing. You know, I tell you, sometimes when you try to find sort of things like the city of flag or the city of Milwaukee, there's not a lot of flag shops that stock them. So I think I had quite a challenge sometimes. But anyway, yeah, Monaco's there. New York State. A lot of them are just square footage and that sort of thing. Again, it might be some clues hidden in here, but some of them are hard. You can see, I guess, when they started getting maybe some tentative interest, they went to a different color. Let's see how high up this one goes. No, we didn't see the World of Toys up here. At one point, they had initially planned to go beyond the freeway and use the other section of land that was from the where the Federal Pavilion was for the 39 fair. But this is real early, 1961.
Bill, can you go back to that picture and go and drag it down to the transportation zone?
Sure.
Yeah, let's see what. Okay, I really don't make anything out.
Now we can make out that there's the scheduled bus terminal.
Yeah.
I mean, I scanned these at 300 dots per inch. You know, you can see if you scan it anymore, you're just picking up all the grain and everything out of it. So there's not a lot of detail in some of these. So here's Mike out there at the Jersey Pavilion. Looks pretty cold. January 2nd, 1964. So look at how much work they had to do between January 2nd and April when the fair opened. I mean, it's and New Jersey's where unfortunately they had the fatality when part of the steel framework supporting wire collapsed and killed workmen. But you know, again, folks that worked on theme parks and stuff, I guess we always were down to the wire, everything. But not a lot of time between January and April to finish this thing and get it done. I feel sorry for this one on this particular peak thing, because here's your chance to be immortalized, you know, some famous thing going on, and this picture is going to be in thousands of papers, and she's got her eyes closed. It doesn't matter because we don't know who she is. There's no identification. I have no idea what
And she's-
building this is, where they
And she's
are.
got an ugly polka dot pants to match.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, well, I guess you know, stylish back. Oh, she's wearing
I don't know,
pearls, so she's
The
with
guy
the
with a
time.
seersucker jacket, that's a seersucker suit.
Yeah. So again, over here, trying to figure out, I have not been able to figure out what these forms are here and what this pavilion might be. This actually looks like supports for a road or something. Again, I don't know who these people are. You know, he's really enjoying it, and you know, this guy's skeptical. So another one of where are you going to be? So okay, we'll look at this. Let's see how many things have changed in this particular one. We never had the health inspection pavilion, which was going to be between the Mormon church and the entrance here. This is where on the other map, this was also going to be the world of food. So, but I've never heard of the health inspection program before. We were joking last week with Joey about police precinct number 1, the security office down below. But a lot of it did come to be. That's the thing that gets interesting is, I mean, so many of these are locked down, well known or everything, but where the hell did this one come in? And it doesn't look like it was very big, whatever it was going to be. We have
Bigger than DuPont.
what's that?
It looked like it was larger than DuPont if you compare to scale.
Yeah, hard to know. This is kind of interesting. Aerial photograph. We'll see the details on the back. They hired companies to go off and you know, map out basically all of New York, and you know, the sort of pictures they used to build the panorama. The aerials were used to make sure every little house was there. But in this particular one, let's see, we got the date here. I'll go back to the other one. So December 12th, 1962. If we go back here, you look at it again, and you say, okay, is it pre-fair or post-fair? You know, here's the what you call it, amphitheater, and the
What's that
amphitheater.
striped area?
What's that?
What's the striped area in the upper left?
Over here, parking lot.
No, the upper left of the photo. What's that huge striped area?
Oh, upper left.
Yeah, you're looking at it, that big striped area.
Well, I'm
No,
going
go
to the
down.
upper. There's the upper left of the photo.
Now go down, go down, go down, right behind the amphitheater. It's a huge field with stripes on it. Keep going down. There it is. It's coming into view now. It's on the right. What is that?
Yep.
Well, again, this particular area, I think this was taken before the fair was being built. So let me just go back for a second. They had built this.
You're talking about the parking lot.
Yeah. So this
Oh,
was
that's
the
a parking
amphitheater
lot.
built for the 39 fair, and in between seasons, it was used as a swimming pool. So you can see if you look in here, there's all sorts of people look like they're in the pool. They would also do concerts here. This is very much like the theater at Jones Beach on Long Island, where one of the big things that they had was they could flood the area and bring movable sets on barges and that sort of thing. But yeah, this is parking lots down here. That's all the stripes down here. And same thing over here. Rows, and it looks like a fountain or something here. But just people parked here to go for a swim at the pool.
Oh,
And
okay.
the bridges here were, again, left from the fair, but they had to be torn out and they were widened and made bigger for the fair. But let me just go back. It's just, you know, starting to put the highways in. We get to this one, this gives you more details. It's kind of nice that they labeled everything, because if you look down here, boy, that's Grand Central Parkway. It's not very much right then at that point in time. So, so much of it's changed, obviously. I mean, Shea Stadium's gone now, but to the World's Fair. So this is all This is how Robert Moses got away with calling it the $1 billion fair, because they were saying that they had to rebuild all these roads, to bring in all the millions of people that were going to go to the World's Fair. But here we know at this particular one, Grand Central Parkway, foreground, Shea Stadium, that sort of thing. A lot of these will actually tell you the height that they took them at, that sort of thing. Okay, this one here is India. I mentioned earlier, a lot of times the pictures are done by the Fair Corporation, but in some cases the individual pavilions decided to get their own pictures, either for their own magazines, things back home, or try to generate stuff. So a glass on mud relief wall made by unlettered women. Anybody know what that means? Think about Indian caste systems and where you were in the social pecking order of things. So if you were an unlettered woman, you were of a lower caste than others, and this is some artwork they had done. Nice big empty area here, right? I wonder what pavilion was going to go there. If we zoom in here real quick. You see some of the Greyhound buses that were giving the transportation around the fair. I mean, certainly nothing space age or anything about those things. I mean, diesel spewing, yeah. Down here we get a hint of what this is. It's a part of the Oklahoma Pavilion, and it shows up in 1965 with a giant chicken standing on the roof because it was a Chicken Delight restaurant. Here, if we zoom in a little bit over here, one of the brass rails, no roof on this particular one, but over here, the Hollywood Pavilion. This one, I believe this has a caption on it. In between seasons, you got to, repaint the lady, right? So, painter in a scaffold painting the 7-Up Tower. I look at this and I go, okay, what year was OSHA formed?
Yeah. Yeah, there's like no safety belt. He's just hanging out there. I
No
wonder where the
helmet if he
paint.
fell or anything. I mean, and he's
Yeah.
pretty good distance out there. You can see how much the rope is, bent to go get him. So,
I'm trying to figure out where his paint bucket is too, that he's getting the paint from. I don't see anything that looks like it.
yeah, it's an interesting thought. You wonder, if that, totally. I didn't notice that. It's probably an absolutely totally posed picture at that point. Go up there. Hey, Joe, go up. I want to get your picture. Repainting the tower.
Look at the ladder, the built-in ladder on the right side there.
Yeah.
Yeah, why isn't he painting? Why isn't he painting from there? Just reach around the thing and be just as dangerous.
Size. Reaching around it might be kind of hard, but yeah, I don't see any paint. It's not like he's wearing something here, or we certainly don't see any buckets sitting on the thing. Maybe the bucket's fallen down and taken out the photographer.
Yeah.
Oh, this is kind of a good one. As soon as I saw this, all I could think was all the beach movies, the Frankie Avalon movies or something, and all you crazy kids. So they're coming down, and they're having a great time. This poor guy, he's just got to drive them along. And we see all these people here. I'm trying to figure out. You got all these musicians or whatever, bathing beauties, and what the hell this guy's got a newspaper for? I mean, it's just kind of different. And here it is, the entertainment show train. Performers from the amusement area. So, I guess they were from all the sorts of different pavilions. So obviously you got, folks coming from Florida. If we zoom in on any of the others, you wonder where the particular ones were, what they did or whatever. So, but trying to get people to come to the lake amusement area, because not a lot of people went, because it wasn't a particularly exciting area. This is another interesting one. Zoom in here. They're bringing I got to kick that here at all the Boy Scouts. That's the sort of thing they had you do. But yeah, we're all going to go over to the New England States Pavilion, and we're going to bring in a replica of Plymouth Rock built by 16 pilgrims in quotes. We want to make sure that nobody mistook these for the actual pilgrims, right? So But yeah, this was a 1965 edition. And here they're coming in. So, you know, big ceremony this particular day. And here again, luckily some of these we have. So this is Virginia State Day, and we have the governor. I have no idea who Mrs. Tony Jameson is, the governor's wife. So they're marching off into the fair, and you can imagine these people. They probably performed at Jamestown and places like that. They're probably in, you know, having a real field day. Go up and you know, entertain at the fair. What's interesting, this bridge over here, part of the Long Island Railroad. If we went through this, this was where the main administration building was. And they had this gate over there. It was not for the general public, but this is where they would bring all the VIPs in. So you could come over to the administration building, park their cars, get their pictures taken, that sort of thing. Then they could march in here and be into the fair without a, you know, a giant crowd bustling around. What's interesting is I'm just looking at this picture here today. Guy's wearing a little badge. There's a fellow that I've worked with on several different projects. Oh, she's wearing, again, official party. They've all got them on. Fellow is meeting on Monday with the Museum for the City of New York to talk about updating the panorama of the City of New York and doing things to preserve it. And he thought it'd be really great if he could go in wearing a World's Fair official party tag. So I promised him when I'm done with this talk today, and he just, of course, let me know about it yesterday. So I have to go, and I have a bunch of these, but in which box? So if I can find it, he just thought it'd be kind of fun to go into the meeting and you know, have a piece of a vintage World's Fair, you know, officialdom. To be alive, this is a much nicer view than the guys we saw last week that looked like they were out of the horror movie. This guy's realizing his picture is being taken. And just a little bit of the background there. And did anybody know that the film was shot in Tri-Arc 335? Then you end up with these random pictures. You wonder what this was shot for, you know, where was it intended to go and everything. New York World's Fair in 1964-65, but it's very nice that they let us know where Nassau County was and where Brooklyn, you know. Again, you wonder how many people actually know that Staten Island is Richmond County. I mean, I think if you put that on most trivia contests, people would not get it unless you're from New York. But let's see, my house would have been right about here. So I'm disappointed it's not on the map. Oh, other things to look at. I've never in any of my entire years of living in New York or anything ever heard this referred to as the Shore Parkway. It's the Belt Parkway.
Yeah, the Beltway. Beltway.
So again, more VIPs doing something. Who they are, they're getting a medal, whatever, don't know. Island World, I don't know. Again, Louisiana, here's Robert Moses. You're going to go where I tell you to go, and it's right there. So they're all out digging dirt and getting ready to go.
Everyone's smiling except for Mr. Moses.
Yeah. It's kind of his. I feel bad for these people. They're all dreaming about all the money they're going to make and what a big success it's going to be. And about a year, they're going to find out just how wrong you can be. It's kind of interesting one. Again, going back to New Jersey, not too long. This is probably taking the same time as that other one we saw them shaking hands. But if we zoom in here, Indians doing a ritual of some kind. And all the names of all the people that were working on this. And one of the things that's very interesting, being a government, how many times do you have to change who the names of the people are? Because, you know, the new guy came in and put his people in place and things changed. So, but New Jersey had a well-received pavilion. And this was done, again, January 2nd, it looks like 1964. So not much time to go. There's Mike again, bending down. You know, I joke about Mike and his bow tie. Mike was a super nice guy. He ran the World's Fair Collector Society for many years after the fair ended. and help keep the dream alive. And he would be at quite a few. There were shows that were done. I think it was called the Adria Hotel in New York, and he'd have a table full of the most amazing goodies and wonderful things. Some were for sale, some just on display. But Mike, you couldn't have had a nicer guy, to sit down and talk to about the days of the World's Fair. And you can imagine he had lots and lots of stories. So we're in front of Wisconsin, and all sorts of the people there involved with it. And I believe this is General Potter. He shows up in a whole bunch of these. Is there? Yeah, on the back here. So it's Maryland State Day. So we have General Potter, and he's giving a medallion to Mr. Nolte, the chairman of the Maryland World's Fair Corporation. So he's in a whole bunch of things, and he smiled a lot more than Moses did. So he was a real asset to the World's Fair Corporation. He'd been the guy behind. He was the governor, I think, of the Canal Zone for a number of years, and that. Ex-Army, and he really knew how to organize things and get them done on time. And another ceremony, this particular one, we're wearing flowers here. Why? Because we're here for Hawaii, and this is, again, pretty early. It's 1963. Their pavilion wasn't done yet, so where do we go? We go in to have an exhibit in New York and do a big preview of everything that you're going to come and see at the World's Fair. So held at Trader Vic's restaurant in New York. And now we're out at the fair site. And here, the president of the Hawaii State Senate gets a laying a kiss, greeting at gate 2 from Helen DeFries, the reception guide to the Hawaiian Pavilion, as Mike looks on. He looks so happy. Okay, now we can guess where this is, right? Because we have 3 important people in the picture. We have the guy getting the medallion, the guy giving the medallion, and we have Paul Bunyan. So thing I get a kick out of, again, look how big the microphones are, how things change over time. But in this particular one, the executive assistant to the governor couldn't make it himself, but we're going to give you this medallion. Then you wonder how they pick some of these people for these pictures. Okay, so here's Mike looking at these people, and these kids they're the official party. I mean, these are big time things. And okay, who are they? Oh, it's the governor.
I have to.
They just kind of bury that down at the bottom there, right? He's there, Mrs. Sanders, Carl, Junior 10, Betty, and the governor. So, but Georgia State Day outside the Rodman Street gate.
I have to say, yeah, it strikes me how few of these have people actually shaking hands. The industry has a name for these. They call them grip and grins.
Grip and grins. Oh, that's great. I never heard that. That's super. This one's kind of interesting because, okay, he's the governor of Georgia, right? I guess he's been to the Hawaii Pavilion during the day. Or maybe Beth can tell us, maybe there's a big thing they give out floral wreaths to people in Georgia. I don't know.
Just a personal choice.
Yeah. This one I got a real kick out of because the hat here, boy, we're getting into the swinging 60s, right? So we're obviously outside of Illinois, and we have, she's from Maryland. Let's see if here's more. Miss Sharon Dennis, who's Miss Maryland, and then Miss Maryland World, and then Miss Laurie Mills, former Miss Maryland, Mrs. Tawes, who's the wife of the governor, Miss Sarah Larson, assistant PR, and they're giving Governor Tawes with the Abraham Lincoln Gettysburg Address. So I have yet been able to figure out why all the people from Maryland were having a big thing over it. They made a big thing about it, but I don't know.
They were in an earlier picture because I recognized the woman in the white dress. She was in there, and that's the one that had this sash, but you couldn't read what exactly it was from. Yeah.
But I imagined Maryland was donating that copy to the Illinois Pavilion.
Yeah. No, what's interesting is I gave a talk on Thursday about Expo 67. I was talking about the tour guides, the costumes, how mod they were and everything. Well, this lady was ahead of the thing, and she has an official Illinois pavilion hat. Wonder if any of those have survived, right? And something else is celebrating Moses. He's looking over at somebody, and he's looking at somebody. Moses probably saying, "I hope he's having a good time because I'm going to fire his ass tomorrow." It's. But here they are at another General Potter's testimonial at the Maryland Pavilion. Again, must be Hawaii must have an extra supply of these things given out. Here's an earlier view. We saw the artwork before of Maryland, and here it's going up. Building these things in the weather and everything had to be a hell of a challenge. And this particular one gives us the date down below. About 6 months to go before the fair is open. That's coming along fairly well. Okay, Robert Moses. Who's he talking to this time? We don't know. Grip and grin. That's great. I'm going to have to remember that. And we have, again, I have to promote my state. So who are we here?
Arkansas.
Winthrop Rockefeller. Remember, we saw him before looking at the model. And now they're out here for Arkansas Day. So you didn't even have to have a pavilion at the fair. You could have your own day. So we have Mike, we have the general, and we have, it looks like Governor Tawes again. Yep. And here's a great one. Maine lobster. I assume they sold Maine lobster at the fair on a regular basis. It was definitely out of my budget, and it's not one of my favorite taste treats anyway. But they're having a great time here, and anyway, there, Hoagie Carmichael. So the governor of Maine, he doesn't even get his name on it, but Hoagie Carmichael. So Hoagie's getting all set to dig into his lobster feast.
Visitors, celebrities, and Hoagie Carmichael.
Yeah. This one is, this is going to look good in my basement when I get it home, because theoretically, what people said is that somebody did steal this, and it's supposedly somebody has it out in their house on Long Island. Whether it still does or not, you'd have to have a pretty big basement to fit it, but supposedly somebody, well, it's one of those things, yeah, if somebody had it, I knew who it was, and it was down in his basement. But here they are.
Was it one-piece construction? All one piece?
Looks like it is. Looks like it's all one giant piece of metal. I'm sure when you cut it down, it weighed a ton. So we have Miss Arkansas and Miss America admiring the Great Seal.
Has anyone checked Joey's basement?
Today they'd be 85 years old.
Yeah, we have to go check Joey's basement.
Today they'd be 85 to 90 years old.
Yeah. And here's another memorial being given.
Is that Mike again?
Yep, there's Mike again.
Yeah, and he's not
wearing
in a bow
regular
tie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every now and then he shows up with a regular tie. Now, I had never heard it before in my life, Delmarva Day. So, but he's the director of the Delmarva Advisory Council. So maybe one of our sleuths can look up what the hell Delmarva is.
That stands for Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Thank you.
That's the peninsula. Of
Right,
those
I got
three
that
states.
too. So General Potter's getting a gavel here. So the governor here of Virginia presenting the gavel to General William Potter. Boy, people, you don't see those big purses all over the place anymore, do you? And here it is. We're back at Virginia Day. Gate 2 again mentioned the gate you bring all the VIPs in. So here's the daughter of the governor, the wife of the governor, the governor, and the guy shaking the governor's hand. And here they are still. Oops, we mistyped his name. We got to fix it here. This was kind of interesting, as I said, okay, where on earth are they christening a boat? Where is the boat? And you know, what's it to do? And they're obviously filming it. Somebody's got a microphone down here. And here it is, we're at the marina. And they're christening the Friendship Sloop Dorigo, which I don't know what, with a bottle of Unisphere water, saluting the opening of the main pavilion. So Unisphere water, I mean, they had to really go out of their way to get that. But yeah, the marina. So you know, I first looked at it, I said anything with a fair is probably, first though was the marina, second though was I don't remember this boat being out on Meadow Lake, but you know, big day, the opening of the main pavilion, which obviously is part of New England states. And we saw these guys walking the governor in before. Poor guy doesn't even get his name. The leader of the, what would it have hurt to say? Photo shows Joe Blow, leader of. And we're up at the VIP level of the New York State Pavilion. And of course, we have the obligatory medal ceremony. You wonder how many of these things they gave away. Must have been a ton of them. So South Dakota Day, again, you don't have to have a pavilion, but we'll have a day for you. The American Football League, what became of them? This kind of neat one, being a Boy Scout, I got a kick out of this one. You know, I think every Boy Scout family for many years had this Norman Rockwell plaque. They sold it at all the Scout stores and done from one of the Jamboree. But in this particular case, we have the Scout here giving an exhibit over to Pender, and Pender's giving one back. So I think this is another one we don't have any details on. No, we do. Okay, so again, look at them here, and this one, the recent meeting in the metropolitan section of the Institute of Traffic Engineers. So all these particular people there, I guess, knew how to move things around or whatever. But again, you could come out and have your exhibits at the fair. A lot of times they could hold a meeting over in the main admin building, or they would have things up at the top of the fair restaurant. Back more to Maryland. And we have more of Mike celebrating Hawaii here. This is an interesting shot coming up. So again, Trader Vic's they have in the preview. And this guy's getting a plaque in the shape of the state, Louisiana. This one's a kind of interesting one. I don't think, no, there's no date on it, but from the, I mentioned before, the negatives are done with things like a D number for the negative. And this was real early. This was like a negative, it was a 2-digit number, but it's apparently the fair staff having a Christmas party. So again, if you look, there's the tree in the background. Don't know who all these people were. Again, it doesn't look like Mr. Moses was out having a drink with the rest of the crowd. But and I looked, I didn't spot Mike Pender in here. Oh, there's Moses. He's in the back, looking happy, isn't he? I've not spotted Albert Fisher in one of these, but you know, everybody else look like they're having a drink and having a great time, and he's saying, "Get this damn thing over with." So. Again, where are these people? What are they doing? Beats me. Don't know.
Looks like they're hiding a body or something.
Yeah. You know, I can let you have this little baby here for just $20,000 and $10,000 a month. But you know, again, is this Texas or something from the hat? I don't know. I cannot place this building behind it, other than I was zooming in trying to figure out, you know, is it part of the US pavilion going up? You know,
Yeah, there's scaffolding in the picture there. That's scaffolding in front of the building.
Right. Yeah, this way. Yeah. Why has he got a rope?
It almost looks like a basketball hoop rope, but it's not enough of it.
Yeah, maybe that's what they tied up the body with. So
Yep.
a year to go, and these pylons will be down in the ground, and then we'll have a building on top of them, and we'll be all set to go. So General Potter having a great laugh here. I don't know. This I believe this is the guy who was the head of the civil City Service World Fair Band. You can see the musical thing up on his hat.
Yeah. Do you remember his name? I do, if you don't.
I don't off the top of my head.
It is Paul Laval
Oh,
was his
yes, right. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, he had a very popular radio show. Yeah, how did you happen to know it, Rich?
Well, I was so involved in every single kind of music instrumentalist organization. I just oriented towards music, and I recognized a band director when I saw him going
Oh.
around in one of the Greyhounds.
Yeah, I've got quite a few pictures of him, leading the band. And out in front of the U.S. Pavilion, and we have, again, visiting dignitaries for Oklahoma Day. So, again, Mike Pender, he had all these pictures, and his son, John Pender, was selling them off. So the fact that, so many of them came from the Pender family, that's why Mike shows up in so many of these particular ones that I bought. I bought several hundred of them from John. Another great guy, by the way. And here, beats me. I wonder if he ever took any kidding about the bow tie. And we have a big proclamation going on here. We are officially proclaiming it Connecticut Day.
In front of the main pavilion.
What's that?
It's in front of the, if you look at the background, it's the main.
Yeah,
and no bow tie again.
Yep. Maybe he went formal today. No Washington Pavilion, but again, mentioned you could have a day. Little post-it note stuck in the back. This was kind of interesting. It's Edward Carlson, Mike Pender, and 2 others from the state of Washington.
2 others.
More happy people. Yeah, I didn't think I had a date on it. Let's see if we can pick up anything here. Okay, we never did have a beach nut. We never did have a graphic arts. Let's see. Yeah, some of these changed names, Liebman Breweries we saw with a check.
Look at where Johnson's Wax is, way up at the top.
Yeah, yep. And what you call it, the Ballantine beer. Temple of Religion. We didn't get plate, Pittsburgh plate glass. Project 64.
Spain has moved.
Yeah.
Poland never happened.
Bourbon Street over here. Yeah, so all sorts of things. Like I said, with some of these, you can start roughly dating them and try to figure out, when things were. Bunch of the Boy Scouts all set, ready for marching the dignitary into the parade, into the fairground. And this one is Colorado Day. The governor couldn't even come out for it, so they had to send the director of the Colorado Department of Commerce and Development. This one is kind of interesting. There's a really nice description on the back here. So obviously we're celebrating something over at Hawaii. But what are we celebrating? Oh, by the way, these flowered, I don't know what they call them. They're not lances, but there's some name to them. When Carol and I were in Hawaii, we went to the museum, and they're on display in the museum, and with a little placard proclaiming that they were artifacts from the 64 World's Fair. So here we are at the Hawaiian Pavilion, and we have all these people, which I'll be terrible in mispronouncing their names, but we have the father of Hawaiian surfing.
Oh, and that is Duke Kamehameha.
I was Duke, but I couldn't think of the last name.
Yeah, I couldn't think of it either, but I think that's that famous surfer, isn't it?
Yep.
It is. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ron Paul.
Matter of fact, when we were at the same museum in Hawaii, they have a thing where you can imitate yourself on a surfboard, and they have a video showing how he was doing it, and then the surfboard's there, and they have a video playing behind you, and you can imitate doing it, even on a static surfboard. No, I was a nerd. So, but yeah, there he is. And I was really just appreciative. Somebody took the time to write in, Father of Hawaiian Surfing. This picture shows up a lot. It's a school group. I don't know particularly what school they're at. Mike Pender giving them a tour. This is in the model room at the administration building. And I always worried that if he made a mistake, he could move a pavilion to an entire different part of the fair. But I got a kick if you look at it, some of the kids are looking at it and, others, so many others, I got to stare at the camera, that sort of thing. So, just you wonder if the photographer gave him any particular directions or anything, but this picture shows up a lot. So these kids got immortalized at their day at the fair. And again, really hard to see what too much of anything had changed down here. And the futuristic cars we're going to have, and 3 displays: the Runabout, the Firebird, and the GMX.
I like the one with the built-in shopping cart.
Yeah, that was a real kick. This was not made for Costco shoppers, that's for sure. But yeah, it would just go in, click in, and that was supposed to be mom's car. Going off and doing all the shopping, and when you pulled it out of the car, the wheels automatically pop down. So this one, I go to, well, actually all of them. I go to so many accidents and collisions. I just keep thinking how many people would be just impaled on one of these suckers.
Yeah, but they look cool.
They do. They definitely do. Here's Maryland. I think it's just been finished and before the fair is really open. And again, why did they pick these particular people? We're going to find their names and who they are and everything in a second. But, you wonder, were they relatives of somebody famous, or they just happen to be the right spot at the right time? But here we get these particular kids out here and their address so we can go stalk them. So we have sisters Ann, Janet, and Kathy Gibbons, 10 Koenig Lane. No idea, again, on the occasion of their visit to the World's Fair. Nice busy day at GE. Again, probably an early shot, nothing on the trees. Everybody's dressed in winter coats. So done at the 64, and now starting to try to get interest for people coming back in 65. Maybe somebody out there can tell me why did so many press stories end up with the code line 30? I know it's in newspapers and magazines and everything, but why 30? Anybody know what offhand why?
I don't know why 30 was chosen, but it's the standard indicator. This is the end of the article.
Yeah, I was just wondering what 30 came up.
Yeah, I don't know.
So now we saw the earlier picture where the parking lots and everything were here. They've been torn out. They're getting ready to develop it. We also see part of the freeway going in. I believe the date's on the back of this one. Yeah, so we're here and we're looking December 12th, 1962, directly above the Long Island Expressway, looking east. So in this particular case, if we zoom in on it, the parking lots are gone. They've been torn out because they're going to be putting pavilions in here. I mentioned earlier they tore out the bridges that were originally there because they were making them bigger and wider, anticipating larger crowds. So, you look at this over here and you go, oh, okay, yeah, there's the Belgian Village. Clearly make that out. Absolutely can tell this is the Vatican. I mean, again, I'm so glad people figure all this stuff out. Look at what they had to do though, because they're working in this section of the bridge and it's not done. So
they're tearing out the old section there. See how they've routed around the new construction they've already done, and that's what'll eventually cross all of that. That's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So on this side, it's okay because it looks like the decking is still here. Maybe this was structurally sounded or jackhammering, so they hadn't gotten to this point. But they had to build this temporary little roadway to go around it. So I'm sure the motorists were just loving it. And you can see all the other off ramps and everything that they're building. And I've shown before in others sections of the freeway being built, and all the guys hanging up here and having a great time. But a lot of traffic, and everybody's got sort of, you wonder nobody's up here and everybody's slowing down here. Just wonder what was going on. Anyway, December 12th, it's on its way. We're going to bring our rock in and we're going to parade it around the fairgrounds and get as much publicity as we can. I look at these pictures, and again, they put the quotes around the word pilgrims. I just would wonder what the pilgrims, the real pilgrims, would have thought about this. Oh my God, she's showing her legs. You know, I mean, can't do that. She's ringing a bell.
Was that rock really stone or was it fiberglass?
I don't know. I really have no idea what this. My bet is it had to be pretty heavy because people in other pictures are climbing on it. But whether it's fiberglass and anchored down, I don't know. It's also interesting if you realize how late this was, July 23rd, to bring it in. So, you know, they didn't have it for the first season. You thought maybe they'd bring it in for the second season. No, they brought it in halfway through the second season. And we have a whole bunch of people. I'm not entirely sure where this one is. It's a projection room. All the names of the states on it here. So it's Virginia Day, but I'm not sure where on earth this particular picture was taken.
You all know that the real Plymouth Rock has been like whittled down to almost nothing, right?
Yeah,
Because they
everybody
kept
taking
giving away souvenirs. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the AFL, that's the AFC now, Bill.
What's that?
You asked what happened to the AFL. It's the AFC
Oh, I
in
see. Okay,
NFL.
great. And we have Ollie.
Could that theater be in the US pavilion?
Yeah, that could be. That well could be. Yeah, this names all the states. It could have been. That would be an excellent guess. And everybody knows Carby Carburetor from the show, but this is his co-star Ollie Oil Can. It was a cute show. I got a kick out of it. And again, we talked last week about mentioning names. You know, show written by showbiz veterans Larry Gilbart. This is before he was in his MASH days. Many other things besides MASH, of course. And you can pretty much guess which pavilion this guy is going to be at. And we go back to more for Hawaii. And a elegant rug at the India Pavilion. 18,000 precious stones. You wonder where it's gone today. Oh, I got a kick out of this one. The governor here is chatting away, and we're inside the West Virginia Pavilion, which is really great because you can see all the things, how close we are, and everything's around. But this guy here is like, will he ever shut up? A lot of people didn't realize just how many things they could do underneath the United States Pavilion. This gives you a real idea of the size of the scope of it. They were I have shots of the U.S. Army band playing there, different square dancers, that sort of thing. So they were able to do quite a few things underneath there, including at night because you had all the lighting there. So this was a popular area for performances. I don't believe there's a caption on this one, but my guess would be Spain again. Nice day at the fair. Doesn't look too crowded, does it? And that would be the end of it. So let me go here. Let me look at the chat. Why is potato chips still sold? Walmart sells them. Well, off we go and get them. Yeah, I actually saw something this week. I don't know if everybody saw about Lay's potato chips being rated a Category 1 emergency recall. They evidently, in some processing plant, introduced milk into their potato chips, and there are so many people that are you hear about lactose intolerant. Well, evidently some people are extremely lactose intolerant. And the FDA came and said they had to do this emergency recall, something like 96,000 bags of potato chips. And, thinking about it, and I said, wow, that sounds much. Well, yesterday I was reading there's a farm up in Northern California, which specializes in chocolate covered candies, chocolate covered walnuts and, other things. And they just had to put out another category 1 because they got milk into their, stuff. So never realized that, milk was that deadly to that many people. I mean, they really went all out. 1962, what a hopeful time. Yeah, right. Yeah, again, code 30 and code on telegrams. Why not code 29? If anybody can drag up why they had a code 30, that would be great.
I just looked it up in Microsoft Copilot and they gave 3 possible reasons, but which implies to me nobody really knows. But they said it was still commonly used in journalism.
Right. Yeah, there's some sort of things where you come up with it and you try to ask around, where's that come from? And I don't know, we've always done it that way. It's oh, Brock's got his hand up. Yeah, Brock.
Well, I was just gonna say, I did a little research on those different initials of the different associations that were at the bottom of the list for the food pavilion.
Right.
Nargus, the only thing I could find associated with that, it's a type of beetle. So I don't think they wanted to have a type of beetle in there. But the Naga, that's actually the North American Wholesale Grocers Association. So
Oh.
that would make sense for that one.
Yeah.
But after that, then trying to find anything was a NAFC. There was personal training, for getting a certificate to be a personal trainer. There's an organization that does that, but that wouldn't apply. And the National Alliance for Fair Contractors or contracting for business. That doesn't make really sense for the food. And then the CFDA was the Council of Fashion Designers of America. I don't think that was associated with the food one, but again, I couldn't see anything else that was, and it sounded like that was a recent one. And SMI, the only things I could find on that were severe mental illness organizations or Singapore Maritime Institute. So I don't think those were there. So all these other places have gone to the wayside. They're not even mentioned in history, but the one did seem to fit.
But you were actually wrong on the Naga one. Do you know why?
Why?
When you had a Naga hide couch, where do you think all the hides came from? They came from the Nagas.
All the Nagas, yes, right.
Every time I would see, somebody that shows them all the time, a Naga hide couch, and somebody always has to put in a Facebook post, think how many Nagas gave their life for that couch. So
Yeah.
terrible pun. But anyway, that's the big batch of publicity photos. Matter of fact, just to give you an idea, let's see if it shows up. There's about half of the ones we looked at in the last 2 weeks. I've got to get them into binders and get them filed away, but I just finished scanning them on Thursday, so they take a little while because I scan them several times. I scan them just with no correction. Then I have what they call digital ice, and then the Epson dust removal. So when we scanned in on, you saw like the thing with Mike Pender, you could see all sorts of little dust spots and stuff on it. Those will go away somewhere over time as I work on them, but I'm sure there'll be more of those coming along and end up with stuff. So Darren's put a link in here for code 30. Let's see what that says. Did it open up a window for me? No, I'll have to look at it later. It leaves me where I am. Next week, no talk. Carol and I are going to be, well, about this time of day, we'll be holding our bouncing baby granddaughter and watching her ooh and ah. And it's, yeah, looking forward to it. We see her every day on Facebook. But as everybody that's been a parent knows, they change so much from day to day. And she's now, if you say goodbye, she may actually wave goodbye to you. If you try to get her to blow a kiss, she may or do that, and she may absolutely ignore you and not pay any attention to you whatsoever.
So
But
you'll be up in Seattle. You'll be in Seattle then.
yeah, but there was a video this week that was really cute, because she's at KinderCare and they post stuff every day, and she's there and the teacher rolls the ball over to her and she takes the ball and rolls it back to the teacher, and every time she does it, she's just thrilled and she's clapping and everything, and it's really great. So Carol and I are not looking forward to getting up at 4 in the morning to head for the airport next Saturday, but we're looking forward. So we'll be up there for a week. Not sure yet the week after that, I do have some thoughts in mind. Next Thursday, before we go, I'm doing another talk on. Hey, Don, I thought you were a real glutton for punishment. I saw your name on the list of the Expo 67 talk. Appreciate your time.
Actually, I enjoyed it. It's pretty good. So I may not be there this week, but I enjoyed it.
Were you there too, Beth? I saw you shaking your head. Yeah, it was actually interesting. I got the they do a survey of people like it or don't like it, and I was telling Carol walking the dogs today, you can't please all the people all the time. Somebody said, is there anything you disliked about it? And they said, well, dislike's too strong a word, but I didn't like the way he taunted us with things that he wasn't going to show us. And for people who aren't familiar with it, there's 3 talks about the 3 different islands or sections of Expo 67. So I'd say, like, oh, here is the artwork for the New York State Pavilion, and we'll see that next week when we get to Isle of Notre Dame. That's taunting. So, you have to realize at some point in time, don't take it personally. And the scores came out great. People liked it. And, I was happy. But you look at it and go, taunting. You can't win, for losing sometimes. Carol just had a thing yesterday at the Getty where she asked the kid, "What does the statue tell you? What do you take away from the statue?" And the mother is, "Don't grill my kid." You can't win. So. But so in 2 weeks we'll be back, and unless we decide to stay up in Washington, although it's supposed to be really cold, so we'll be back. So, but appreciate folks joining, and hope we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Have a
Good
nice
talk.
trip.
Take care.
Have a nice ride.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.